Welcome to the Moms I Know with Sheila Walsh-Denton and Maria Anderson-Farner. Two moms on a mission to reclaim childhood and take you from surviving to thriving on your parenting journey. The Moms I Know is your go-to source for motivation, inspiration, and resources, and real conversation about motherhood and parenting with intention. Thank you for being a part of our community. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
It will be hard to create a quiet place where your children can find their souls. You must first quiet your own world and then approach theirs. They are accustomed to the barrage of noise and will complain loudly in its absence. But you can find a quiet way. What can you do today? A walk, a book, a simple game.
Hi, this is Maria.
And this is Sheila. And we want to welcome you to the Moms I Know. Today we will be talking about family school. And we've already gone over the guardians of childhood. And the second tenet of family school is time and space.
And that's such a beautiful quote to start with, because that really says it all. And I think that, Sheila, you and I have really seen this change of the pace of life. And we've talked so much about the importance of giving children time and space in which to develop, in which to really foster this sense of healthy family living. And we can work in these rhythms and just, we are recording this in a time of global pandemic. And so this concept of time and space has been something that has always been very important to us. And now pretty much the entire world is being faced with this sort of enforced time and space. But we have to look at, how are we filling this? How are we utilizing this? For some, this is such a time of fear and overwhelm and difficulty. And for others, it's this gift of time and sort of having to look at more introspectively. But it's really an unusual time to be talking about something that we have found so foundational for family living. We just want to really invite all of you, and we know that our audience is struggling in so many different ways, and you're all coming from different perspectives about this current global pandemic. You're all in different situations. We can't presume to know what each of you is going through. We have our own experiences. I know that, Sheila's home with teenagers and a tween, and I'm here with my husband and now my adult son who just came home from Peru, and yet missing the other children and the grandchildren. And so, but seeing what families are going through and understanding directly from our own experience. And so we just want to reach out to all of you and say, we're here for you. We support you. We know this is hard, and yet we can look at this as an opportunity. And so again, Sheila and I have been doing this work for years, and we've been utilizing these principles. And so now more than ever, we really need to look at these concepts of giving our families the space and the time that now we are being, sort of forced to look at. But how do we look at it in this way of practicing mindfulness, bringing in movement, and working with the breath?
So the first tenet, the first part of this is the mindfulness. It's being aware of where your children are. And kind of when we opened up with this quote, it's being still for them to be okay in their stillness. And so being mindful of that is limiting activities, prioritizing sleeping in, taking time for the morning ritual, doing the gratitudes, doing the journal, the meditation, yoga, and walk. It's having space to have some evening routines. Maybe that's a walk as well. Maybe that's the time for gratitudes and journal meditation. It's to stretch together as a family. It's taking, prioritizing, that ritual can also be bath time, and it can include stories and games. It's that time to connect, that family time. We can also use music at this time to really bring in a centering. And it's also time to explore, different types of music. I know, Maria, you are do the sound healing.
Well, I've been using my crystal grandmother bowl every morning now, and I just find it to be so relaxing to my body. And there's this whole concept of routine. And so, when we created all of this work with Family School and with the Moms I Know podcast, we were not in a pandemic, but we were seeing how families were so busy. And even with, this enforced, being at home, I'm still seeing a lot of families that, they're trying to fit everything in, all the schooling, all of the schedules, all of the work, if parents are working from home. And so we're really asking you to look at this and say, how can we just slow everything down? What are the priorities? If we can approach this with mindfulness, all of this, and if we can simplify possibly some of the educational expectations for our children right now. I know that's a huge one. We could probably do a whole episode. In fact, I think we will do a whole episode on that, because I know Sheila is grappling with that, in your family, Sheila, with the kids all being in different programs. And then I've also seen other families that are just, chucking that and living their life. And so we've got recommendations for all of that. But if we can look at this piece of mindfulness in everything we do, so even if it's preparing the meals, we can stretch all of this out. We can make everything slow down, and we can just add more thoughtfulness to it. I've seen, such an increase in mindfulness programs and online yoga and, things for the children. But what we're suggesting is get offline and try to increase these all in your own family patterns. And so, we've been doing the morning gratitudes, definitely increasing the meditation. I think the global meditation really needs to be happening right now. And then again, that quote says the reading, the walks, just taking advantage of this. And even though we might have all those shoulds at the back of our mind, we should be doing this, we should be taking care of this, we should be, utilizing this time in a different way. And there's financial pressures and health concerns and all of that, just if we can slow the pace down and look at everything that we're doing from this perspective of mindfulness, I think that's really important. And then the next piece of this is looking at movement. So movement, now this is one that, I've been studying movement and healthy movement for several decades now, and the studies are in. I mean, it's so important for our physical well-being as well as for our emotional, mental well-being. And so we want to make sure that we're getting outside. We loved our interview with Linda McKirk of There's No Such Thing as Bad Weather. So this real encouragement for getting outside regardless of the weather. And, we can bundle up, we can get out in it, whether it's raining or snowing. And now it's springtime in the Northern Hemisphere, it's fall in the Southern Hemisphere, but we can get outside and we can move our bodies. The inside things, and Sheila, it's so much fun to hear, what your family is doing right now. And I know the trampoline in the backyard is huge, but those mini trampolines inside can also be a huge plus for those of you who can do that. And the yoga swing. And I know can you tell a little bit about the yoga swing in your family? Because I know that's been a staple in yours.
Yes, the yoga swing is something that we have had we got it when my daughters were doing aerial arts, and it's just been probably one of the best investments, along with the trampoline, for movement and for just letting go. And I swear every child that comes in here goes right to the yoga swing. So I definitely recommend it. But it's very centering for children. And there is even science about it. And that's where I actually, when I got it, was this, how hanging upside down, it's very good for you. And I forget the actual why it's so good for you. What did you say?
The vestibular system.
Yeah, exactly, the vestibular. And which basically it calms and centers children. And so it's a really awesome thing. And it's called a yoga swing because you're actually able to do yoga in it too. There's certain things you can do there. They have classes that are like yoga swing classes.
I've seen some new things too that are out that are more stretchy. And so like it's like this, it can really help to quiet an overstimulated child. And so, we invite you to do a little bit of research and, look at at Craigslist and, ask around in your neighborhood if somebody has outgrown something. And so, I know that this is not something where we can all run out and buy a trampoline or a yoga swing, but if you look around and get creative, sometimes there's something available. So really.
Yeah. It's like, it's climbing trees too, though. It's, if you're able to have a backyard, you're able to find stuff to do, and so it's really kind of, using play as that vehicle to be with your children, to but also as well as for yourself. It brings you joy to see your children joyful, and it kind of can change that vibration.
You have a quote about that we have to learn to play with our children more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like one of the most important skills to learn is to play with your children. And I think that's what a lot of people are being forced to do right now. And they're trying to keep themselves busy and not pay attention to that. And, but I think this is like, hello, it's the time where really it's that silver lining, if you can see it.
Our children want us to play with them. Can you share a little bit about what's going on in your household right now? I love that your youngest is creating this family play.
Well, yeah, the youngest is very creative, and so she is constantly coming up with games around the house. And last week it was, okay, we're having a building contest where we had 3 different types of blocks, and we had 15 minutes to build the highest tower, and then we had another 15 minutes to build the most creative tower, and we had to explain it. I mean, we came in and she had it all laid out. She had the cell phone, one of our cell phones was taped to the wall as the timer, and we had it all laid out. And then the other night she did airplane building contest, same thing, where she marked up the hallway a foot with tape markers of a foot apiece, and you had to you had 5 minutes to build a paper airplane to see how far you could get, and then you had another 5 minutes to build one that you could see how many flips or loop-de-loos it could do. And I did not. I came in 3rd place and 4th place, unfortunately. But it was still a really fun thing to do with our whole family, and we all did it. And so it's just thinking outside the box, and I think so many people are making up games right now.
Yeah, I love that though, but you're also listening to your children. And so, we're saying play with your children, but quite often the children have the most amazing ideas. And so, listening to our children and then just saying, okay, all of these other things can wait and we can play with our children. And, you've got family yoga, family dance, just all of that, and really having fun together in music. And then we come to the breath. And this is your quote, Sheila, space and grace. I love this. So why don't you talk us through this?
It's funny when people are talking to me right now, or I'm hearing them, or I'm reading on social media, or I'm, on the phone with a friend, or just seeing in the news, and it just space and grace keeps coming up. And basically what that means is exactly what it is. Give a little space and give a little grace, because everybody needs that right now. And I just think it's a really good mantra to take a breath and to do that, and just really think the best of people. And that's what kind of the grace is. Like, people think that they have, assume that the intention is good until otherwise. But really that's what that grace is just really, people are having a hard time right now, and people have a hard time, period. It's just like, it's just compounded. It's amplified right now. And so we need to amplify the space and the grace as well.
That's so true. And, my daughter has always said, be kind. You never know what anybody else is going through. Just assume that everybody's got a story. And now we have a collective story as well as all of our individual stories. And so this is so important.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I use for the kids is, this is from preschool, and I still use it now, and I use it for myself, is to smell the flower, blow out the candle. Smell the flower, blow out the candle. And it's really, that helps remember their breath as well.
I love that, because, that's something that we always talk about, stop and smell the roses. And yet, when we really can do that, it's become sort of a cliche, but when we do that, we're not only breathing, but we're inhaling these beautiful scents that are quieting our minds, and we're taking time. And then that blow out the candle, that's ritual there too. Mm-hmm. When children have that ritual in their lives, when they see, so this analogy of smell the rose and blow out the candle is a lovely one for the breath. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of breathwork programs out there, but even just taking 10 deep breaths, just stopping, quieting our mind, doing that. And so, there are intricate programs that you can be following, and you can also just be doing simple breathing. I'm trying to practice that every morning. And then just as we get outside, really deepening the inhalations. We want to make sure we're getting that fresh air, and that's calming our nervous system as we're breathing deeply, and just we want to be out in the sunshine and the fresh air. Using essential oils with our breath work. The essential oils, those of you who know us well, we love aromatherapy. And as we're inhaling, we're breathing deeper, but we're also getting in these incredible plant compounds that can be actually very, very calming for the nervous system, quieting our minds, grounding us. And so that's really important. Meditation, I talked about the beginning with the mindfulness, but just focusing on our breath with our meditations is so gratifying. And then taking these pauses regularly during the day, scheduling them in. And I was talking with somebody just yesterday who said she's actually been doing these on her phone, where she, has a chime or something that goes off. And she says, but it's really hard for me to stop. Like the chime goes off, but then do I actually stop? And so we just want to invite you to schedule them in. If you've got a calendar them in, where you're going to stop whatever you're doing, whether it's being with the children in the morning or, the lunchtime or schedule those pauses in. Make sure you're doing some deep breathing, you're getting outside, and just know that this too shall pass, but that something else is always going to be there. And so these are foundational practices that you can use in your family life to really get through with the space and grace that we all need.
I love it. And so with that, we just want you to know that we are here to support your family, and to know that family school is really a loose structure to frame your life right now.
And so, we started with this whole concept of, supporting homeschoolers on their journey. And that's kind of where we were going with our 6 episodes around how to homeschool if you're choosing to do that. But this concept of whether you're choosing it or whether you're doing this on a temporary basis, this family school is something that we can all incorporate. And it's, as Sheila has said, living and learning together. And in every choice that we make, we can look at the needs of the whole family. So obviously we want to be looking at how our children are learning and what we want to be doing to support them, but we need to be making sure that we're coming from a place of calm and focus and hopefully positivity. And it's getting harder and harder, as we're heading into week 3, 4 for some people of sheltering at home or staying at home, however your state is calling it, or country. But we just want to make sure that we're supporting you to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your whole family.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Until next time, we're excited. We will be talking about the 3rd tenet of family school, which is courage cultivation.
So until next time, take care. Be well.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today for The Moms I Know. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To get the show notes and resources mentioned in today's episode, visit themomsiknow.com. For information on Maria's programs, visit thefutureoffamily.com. And for information on Sheila's programs, visit purplebeatfamily.com. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes, and follow us on Instagram at The Moms I Know Podcast. Until next time, have a joyful family journey.